welcome to our topic. We're very excited, Joe and I, to talk about this topic today: new market and promo trends, and new market and product trends in the promo industry. We can all agree 2020 was a remarkable year for so many reasons. As it applies to the promo industry, one of the biggest for sure was that there was massive changes both in the mix of products being sold and also the markets that were being sold to. And some of those changes are temporary, and some of those changes, as we're going to talk about today, are going to be permanent. And so we're going to dive into all that. And in fact, we have a presentation with lots of data and numbers that comes from our in-house ASI research team. They do a great job of information throughout the year. And as you'll see, the data demonstrates that it really demonstrates some of these radical changes, and we'll be able to look at that. As we talk about numbers, Joe, how many years have you worked for ASI?
CJ, been with ASI for 27 years.
Okay, so Joe's our product guru. He knows everything about products. We always come to him for help and information. Joe, in those 27 years you've been in the promo industry, have you ever seen anything like we saw last year as far as changes both in products and markets?
No, CJ, we've had to deal with one recession back in like the mid 2000s, like 2008, but nothing like last year. I mean, this was completely new for everyone.
Yeah, and we'll see from the data some of these remarkable changes. And the first topic we're going to talk about is PPE, because that was the story of 2020. Before we get to that, two housekeeping things. One, we got a poll that you can take. It's about PPE, and the question's simple. How much PPE did you sell in the past 3 months? A lot, a little, or none? You can take that. It's on the Stage tab. It's under polls, and we'll get to those answers in a few minutes. Also, if you have comments or questions, of course, put it in the Stage tab. We'll be monitoring those, and if you have questions, we will get to them throughout the session. So as I promised, we're going to talk about PPE in the first, and we'll do it sort of in a past, present, future sort of way. So for the past, looking here at this data, from 2019 to 2020, health and safety products, 2019, 2.8%, 2020, over 25%. A quarter of all products sold in the promo industry were health and safety products. Joe, in my highly in-depth analysis, that's ridiculous, right?
Well, yeah, it is, but it shows that the industry was able to see the need for promotional safety items during the pandemic, and they actually jumped on that. So to see 25% of the sales in the industry, doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. So it was amazing to us to see those numbers in action for sure. So this next one is the present. So let me explain. We track the top 10 ESP search terms and issue these monthly updates to see where they are. So this is data that just came out for September 2021. So just some background. In 2020, face masks, hand sanitizer, PPE products dominated the list. As 2021 wore on, they dropped and even disappeared off the list, especially during the summer. But with Delta, searches ramp back up, and we saw that I think in August. We certainly saw that in August, and as you see in September, face masks were the number 8 product. So not number 1 like in 2020, but number 8. So there's certainly demand if you look at the top 10 products being searched on ESP. So Joe, like where do you think we stand now in terms of demand for PPE, and where is it going to be sort of to close it out in the next 3 months?
Talking with someone a lot smarter than me, says that the market's saturated with some of the stuff that disappeared from shelves in the consumer market. You couldn't get hand sanitizers, but you can find it everywhere now. I think that face masks will stay around for a while. We know that May, June, and July, there was no PPE in the top 10 searches, and then here we go, September, it's back in the top 10. I think the opening of events, going back to school, there was a need for that. You hear about the Delta variant, so it doesn't surprise me that face masks has jumped up. But I think this is going to be around for a while, and this might be part of our, everyday lives moving forward for things like traveling, getting on an airplane. Even after we kind of really get rid of this COVID, they still might require us to wear face masks. It might be required for public transportation as well, and maybe for some large gatherings. So, yeah, I think the face mask will be around for a while.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm of that belief too. If you want to look at it relatively in this next chart here, so this is sort of graded on a curve in terms of when were the most searches for face masks and ESP and when were the least searches. The most searches, the highest point of that graph, occurred not surprisingly in April 2020 when everybody was looking for it. Since then, you see this gradual decline and bottoming out this summer, and then it popped back up again. But I think the important part about this data right here is that currently, at least at the end of August, searches for face masks were about 20% of where they were at the height of the pandemic. So yes, has demand increased with Delta? It certainly did. It's not approaching where it was at the height of the pandemic, and so at least people who are saying, oh, I'm just going to sell just PPE and be plenty busy. That's not the case, right, Joe?
Right, right. It's trailed off significantly. I don't think we're going to see the searches and the amount of sales moving forward. I think that the experts have a good idea of where we're going with this, pandemic and how soon we can get out of it. But I think there's light at the end of the tunnel, and we're not going to see 25% of industry sales PPE for 2021. That's for sure.
Sure. And to your point, what you said earlier, yeah, look, I believe that that PPE is going to be around, not just because I don't think the pandemic is disappearing immediately, that we're still going to be dealing with this in some form next year. But I think there's certain facets of society that like may be forever changed. Like I've been, people have speculated, well, you may have to wear a mask whenever you walk into a doctor's office.
Sure.
You may have to wear a mask whenever you travel by plane. I think there are certain segments of the population who want to get rid of masks as fast as possible, and certainly have already. But there's other areas where it may not be optional, and so if that's the case, like yes, will people sort of just get that standard surgical mask? Of course, but like anything, it may just be like just like you have reusable bags hanging around your house, you may just have decorated masks hanging around that you can grab at a moment's notice when you need.
Yeah, I mean, we were all happy to shed the mask earlier this summer, and now it's like some businesses are requiring them. So we're leaving the house with the mask again. I mean, that's the number one question when you leave the house with your significant other. It's like, do you have your masks? So yeah, we're starting to pack them again. Have some of the disposable ones in a Ziploc bag and card glove compartment and stuff. But speaking of PPEs, CJ, we do have our poll results here. So how much PPB have you sold in the last 3 months, PPE? 16% was a lot.
Okay.
A little came in at 52%, and none at 32%. So, if we're talking about the last 3 months, that's when we start looking about going back to school, events, opening up again, Delta variant. So I can see why it's, a little is there, but a lot at 16%, that's kind of surprising.
Yeah, I think that matches up with some of our expectations. It's going to be around in some form, but it's not going to be dominating. If people are selling it, great, and if you got a market, go for it. We're not going to say don't sell it, but it may not be there for everybody. At least definitely not in the same numbers it was before.
And CJ, some of our comments, face masks will be around, and it also helps to keep the flu spread down, which is true. I mean, the flu last year was really low. So, depending on what happens this year with getting their shots, I just got mine today.
Yeah, my kids never got sick.
Yeah. I know. How about it? I agree. I think PPE is going to stick around, and we have has anyone had success selling the disposable masks? So that's a question that we see. Usually, it's been those reusable masks. So if you if you can respond, we will let the audience know.
Yeah, and I'll say about disposable masks, we saw from our data, the people who had the most success were doing it at large scale volume for like government contracts and things like that. But that was last year. This year, the supply chain has caught up, and those traditional medical suppliers have that in stock. So I think you're going to see less in terms of large volume of disposable masks. But again, the distributors can position themselves like if there's a need for PPE, whether it's decorated masks or disposable ones. They can tell their buyers, hey, I can get you both of those things. And so I think we'll see that more and more in the future.
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to move on to non-PPE stuff. And we're going to switch to this data from our State of the Industry survey. So again, I apologize if you can't read this. We're not doing this at live in a ballroom on a big screen. there is a handout, a downloadable versions PowerPoint that you can look at this, and I'll walk you guys through sort of all the pertinent information. So here, there's 4 key categories that we looked at for state of the industry, and we tracked this over time since 2008. So it's t-shirts, bags, writing instruments, and drinkware. T-shirts are the very top in blue. And I think there's 2 key takeaways from here. We can look at how these categories have evolved over time. T-shirts have grown. They've gone from 21% to 28% in 2019, and drinkware has grown a lot too. Bags and writing instruments have decreased over the past decade plus until we get to 2020, where everything drops because PPE soaked up all that buyer demand, and people weren't looking for traditional promo products. So real quick, Joe, we're going to go through each of these categories and sort of talk about what does the future hold for each of them, certainly in the next year, let's say. We'll start with t-shirts. What do you think?
I think it'll go up from last year. Events certainly use a lot of t-shirts for promotional, and it could be a live event like a concert. It could be a nonprofit 5K walk. So you'll see it goes up and down. I think that'll go back up. So it doesn't surprise me. It's a strong promotional product. Drinkware, I think that gained steam because I just look at the consumer markets. And if you look at social media relating to this industry, how many times do you see someone asking a question? I need a Yeti, tumbler. I need a hydro flask. Those are name brands that people want. They want to use them in promotions. This industry has products that do just the same thing, and they're available here so that when our distributors can turn them to those products, it doesn't surprise me that drinkware, has been growing. As for pens, it's kind of surprising. I think that's going to be a steady product. It's always going to be one of those tried and true. A lot of people are looking for them. Last year, they were looking for the ones with the, non-microbial or antimicrobial properties to them that were, individually cellophane bagged because of having to sign checks at restaurants or whatever. So you know that no one else has touched that pen. I think it'll, have peaks and valleys, but it'll remain steady. And the bags is the one that surprises me the most. I don't know if we reached the point of saturation in the fact that so many municipalities, cities, and states are starting to ban single-use plastic bags, and grocery stores and others are turning to those non-woven polypropylene reusable bags. So have the ones that haven't enacted laws, have those grocery stores and other businesses already moved to that? So, I don't know, but it kind of surprised me because, again, a tote bag is a strong, steady promotional product.
Yeah, at least remember when we first started tracking this data, bags were huge because reusable bags were really not a novel sort of product in the marketplace, and so everybody was selling them, everybody was giving them away. I think since then you've seen that saturation where everybody has bags, they're not giving them out as much. But look, reusable bags are definitely not going away. They're a staple of this industry. As you mentioned, the plastic bag bans that are occurring nationwide, it's gonna spur the need for reusable bags. So I think you're still going to see those types of items readily available.
Well, and events are coming back too. So, if you go to a trade show, you need a tote bag. If you go to any type of festival where there's a lot of different booths, whether it's an Earth Day festival or whatever, you need a tote bag to put all that stuff people are going to pick up. So I think that'll come back next year.
Yeah. All right. So this next set of data. So we track the top 100 ESP search terms by quarter. And here we show where they fell up and down the ranking. So the number is how many spots they slid up, ranked from 1 to 100. So beach towels, for example, dropped 76 spots. Stress relievers went up 22 spots. And this data is not out yet. We're actually going to be publishing it in the next couple weeks. But Joe, just looking at this, what jumped out at you?
That the industry still has cycles. When you see beach towels, frisbees, flags, that stuff, I think of summer events, right? Vacation style events. And then when you see the products in the green, and you're looking at luggage tags, it's travel. There's blankets in there. We're getting ready to for the holidays. So some of the products here are traditional holiday type gifts as well. So it shows me that there's still cycles within the industry, and that our distributors are jumping on them.
Yeah, and another thing that stuck out to me, a little more subtle, is that like people are traveling and moving around again. So if you look at luggage tags, if you look at laptop sleeves, if you actually look at tablecloths, like why are tablecloths trending? Well, events are coming back, trade shows are coming back. There's a need for those sort of things. So outdoor events, people going places, like that's showing up in this data, and so I think it's a positive indication for our industry.
Absolutely.
All right. So our last product thing, Joe, I asked you to come up with 3 hot products that you can talk about. So give us the lowdown. Why are these such good choices right now?
All right, so number one is elevated food gifts. I mean, there's always been food gifts in the industry, and if I get a box of of espresso beans covered in dark chocolate, I'm still going to hoover that down all the time. They're still delicious. It's still appreciated. But now you're getting things like full charcuterie boards with not just one sausage stick or one, cheese, multiple. You have dried and smoked salmon in there as well. There's, olive tapenade. There's sweet, there's savory and stuff in there. And this given as a gift, I mean, if I got one of those gifts, I'm having friends over on a Saturday night, and we're just going to put that spread out, and that's going to be appreciated. Next is wireless chargers. We have more and more phones that are coming with the QI technology that allows you to put your phone on top of a charger. What I love about them is you can keep them plugged in on the desk and just plop your phone down and keep it there all the time. And they're starting to be paired with other things like Bluetooth speakers and mouse pads and stuff. I think that once we get more and more phones, I think that this will remain a hot topic. Socks. Socks is a favorite of mine. I think that there's so many uses. You get athletics socks for sports teams and clubs, business socks as well. They are fun. You see a lot of people. My youngest son, he's an engineer. He doesn't wear any plain socks. He's always got something that's got some design, something fun on there. So I think that they're strong at number 3. And then I have a very close one, CJ. And I know that we talked about this. It's those camp mugs, and they
Yeah.
started to come around last year, and it was the traditional. It looks like it's that ceramic, that stone, but it's tin, it's metal. And then now, if you look, there's a lot more styles. You have double wall insulated ones. You have ones with the cork bottom and stuff. So I think that they're strong right now as well.
Yeah, I got a camp mug a couple years ago, actually, as a gift from a distributor. Loved it, use it all the time. Love all your recommendations, Joe. So we only got a few
Thanks,
minutes
CJ.
left. I don't want to give the short shrift to the market trends. So let's touch on these quickly. This chart here, the only thing I want you guys to take away from this, healthcare and education are the 2 dominant markets. They're double all the other ones. And if you can look at our next one here, they've been the dominant ones for the past few years, even longer than this. But the key takeaway is that education was number 1 forever until last year, where it flip-flopped. Healthcare took over education as the number 1 market. And why was that? Well, education went down 30% in 2020, and healthcare buying was on the rise. So, Joe, with education, where do you see it next year? Is it going to be the number 1 market again, or at the end of this year, I should say?
Yeah, with schools back, which means that students are back, especially on campus and stuff. I mean, think about all those school bookstores where no one was buying stuff. How are they recruiting students? What do you do for freshman orientation? All those clubs. I think it's going to come back up as we start to get away from the pandemic. Get a hold of COVID. I think they're going to flip flop, but I think it's going to be close. It's going to be neck and neck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I know for my kids' school, they're doing sports. They're having a parent event at the end of the month. It's definitely coming back, and education's always been a strong market. So I'm very optimistic about it as well. Next, hospitality. So in 2019, 6.1%. In 2020, 4.4% of the total industry sales. I actually thought this would be a greater decrease. I was a little bit surprised. And you hear about travel coming back. At least people wanted to do more travel, but these things are month to month as far as how our lives go. Where's hospitality gonna be, Joe, next year?
It's going to climb a little bit, I think, because more people are traveling. Live events are coming back. I don't care what CDC says. People are still going to travel at the holidays, 4th of July, Thanksgiving to see family. The end of the year holidays and stuff. So I think we'll see an uptick here.
Yeah, and I know, like, there's plenty of people, my parents included, are going out for dinner 2 to 3 times a week. People are going back to bars. So some of those concerns about that industry during the shutdowns, I think people are starting to get over that, and you're gonna see a nice uptick in that area for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So Stephanie says yes, wheels up. So she's all about the travel.
Yeah, good for her. Steph loves to travel. I know that for a fact. Trade shows. So if you look at this, at this data here, compares Q2 21 versus Q2 19, and the fact is that it shows trade shows are coming back. They have been coming back, but they've been coming back smaller than before. Less square footage, less exhibitors. less attendees. They're just smaller. Does that make it a bad market, Joe?
No, there's still going to be a need for promotional products there. I mean, hosts of shows had to reimagine what they're doing coming off of the pandemic. So you start small. The only place you can go is bigger. So, I don't think it's a bad sign there.
Okay. So now, just as we did the 3 hot products, you gave me 3 hot niche markets, and you mentioned pet, youth sports, and craft breweries, and those are my 3 favorite things because we can see from this picture here, got my dog, my kid, and my beer. So good choices, Joe. Thank
Thanks, CJ, and
So
thanks for shutting me out of the pictures, but that's okay.
I tried to find a picture of you drinking a beer. I thought I had a lot of them, but apparently my phone deleted all of them.
Oh,
Why are these good
teetotaler.
markets, so why are these good markets?
Pet industry, people in the United States spend a lot of money on their pets. For 2020 alone is $99.1 billion. $99.1 billion. That's up 51.4% over a 10-year period. Last year, more people adopted pets during the pandemic. Some of them were alone, feeling of isolation. They need a companion there. And then there's all those ancillary industries, dog walkers, vets, kennels, groomers, dog parks, the photographers that take pictures of animals as well. Chewy.com, $7.15 billion in sales in 2020. So there's a market there for all these ancillary industries to be able to market to pet owners. And with that, they can use pet products. So I think that this is poised for growth.
And quick question here. Are exhibitors still giving away lots of promo during shows, and are the distributors taking it?
That's a good question. I wasn't in Chicago. All I could see was the news reports, and I could see the pictures. There looked like a lot of happy exhibitors, a lot of happy distributors as well. So I think that there's product there, but from a firsthand experience, I wasn't in Chicago, so I can't answer.
Okay, and I think giveaways are not going away. And if you're at an event, I was at a township day for our local township, and the library was giving stuff away, the fire department was giving stuff away, and my kids just went in and scooped it up, and we had no issues. And look, I think it's the same with trade shows. They're like people love a giveaway, and they're not going to say no. All right. Well, Joe, awesome job as always.
Thank
I really
you.
appreciate
Same to you, CJ.
Yeah, definitely.